Grizzlies fans, welcome to another Grizz game day update. It is the last game before the All-Star break. Joining me to break this one down against the Milwaukee Bucks is Camille Davis. Whew, you ready for the break?
Very much so. And I think the Bucks are ready for it too.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, so the Bucks are coming off of a loss to the Heat where they only scored 97 points. So they're going to be looking to end before the All-Star break on a high note. The Grizzlies are coming off a big win, 121 to 113 over the Houston Rockets, and they're obviously looking to continue the momentum. This is the first time these teams play in regular season. They played a couple times in preseason, but the rosters look a lot different today, Camille. Let's start with the Bucks because this is the first time and the only time they'll be here in Memphis. Let's talk about two of the big guys. Giannis Antetokounmpo is averaging over 30 points per game this year. What has been so special about him this season?
Honestly, that's a
Everything.
great question. He is playing at a level right now that I think is arguably surpasses what we've seen during some of his MVP season so far this season. I think the addition of Damian Lillard has added an additional level of gravity into this Bucks offense where defenses have still tried to wall off Giannis because that's what you do when you're playing against a talent like Giannis who you're trying to keep away from the rim as best as you possibly can. But Giannis has also expanded a little bit with the mid-range game. He's always kind of liked taking those mid-range shots over the last few years, but we've seen it over the last few weeks in particular that they're going down at a higher rate for him. So the mid-range is starting to fall for him a little bit. He's been more crafty getting to the basket, and then you have that gravity of Damian Lillard on the court with him as well that helps him get some open looks as a roller after he screens as well. So it's been a really good season for Giannis, and we've had the coaching changes as well. So he's been asked to do some different things, and then defensively, with Doc Rivers coming in, we've been reverting to a lot of things we saw under Mike Budenholzer as well when it comes to defense, where Giannis is able to be that free safety, that roamer, and more of a help defender than the primary defender at the rim.
And you mentioned Dame, but let's dive in a little bit. 25 points per game, just under 7 assists per game. How special has it been to add him onto the roster?
It's been real special. Like the thing with Dame is that you saw it the very first night that we had him here, the season opener against the 76ers. It was Dame time. Like Dame was magical. He was special. And you see, like, this is exactly what we were looking for from Dame when we made this trade. Dame's play has been a little inconsistent, a little up and down so far this season, which is understandable given the fact that he's adjusting to a new team, a new environment, as well as not having his family with him here in Milwaukee as he did in Portland, where he had a whole community there as well. So there's some learning curves for him, but the Dame experience is something that Doc Rivers has pointed to as something that he wants to try to unlock even more two-man actions between him and Giannis, and just trying to get Dame more comfortable in the offense. Because although he's averaging, like you mentioned, 25 and 7, there are still levels to unlock in his game. Like we think that he can be playing better.
And this Grizzlies team is 30th in the league in points per game, but the Bucks are second, the second highest scoring team in the league. And we talked about Giannis, talked about Dame. There's also six guys averaging double digits. Who else do the Grizzlies have to look out for today?
Well, there's no Chris Middleton tonight. He got injured in the game against the Phoenix Suns, so that's one name to cross off the list. But of course, you have Malik Beasley, who's been shooting a ridiculous number from three so far this season. Again, he's somebody who, with the gravity of Damon with Giannis, gets a lot of open looks. So Malik Beasley is definitely someone to keep an eye on. Brook Lopez can light it up really quickly, especially if there's a size mismatch in the paint. He is somebody who is going to look to take advantage of that, as well as the three ball. Like Brook Lopez is so fun to watch because he moves so slow. But it's like you can't stop it because it's just such a big body coming your way. So between the threes and the post moves, Brook's going to give you some buckets there. And then off the bench, the best bench scorer that the Bucks have currently is Bobby Portis, who we call here in Milwaukee the mayor of Milwaukee, a big fan favorite. He is also somebody who can come in and light it up really quick.
Yeah, he is actually not from far from here. He's from Little Rock, and so I expect him to have some fans here as well, some family come to town. One thing that the Grizzlies do really well is get to the line. They are aggressive. There are a lot of like young guys who are playing for the Grizzlies on the roster right now. Yesterday against the Houston Rockets, they got to the line almost double the amount of times that the Rockets did. Uh, the Bucks are top 10 in the league in fouls, like personal fouls per game. How can the Grizzlies take advantage of this tonight?
Well, one thing that the Bucks have been trying to do better is when they're switching on ball. So a lot of the mismatches that the Bucks have seen defensively come when uh, I should say, it's kind of like a before doc and after doc thing with this team. But a way to take advantage of that is just trying to put them in inconvenient situations where they have no other option but to foul. The Bucks do like to implement that drop defensive coverage when Brook Lopez is out there. So if your guards can get around our guards and create pressure, sometimes guys are going to foul in that situation just to try, they're trying to make a play out of it. But otherwise, like the Bucks generally try not to foul that much. Like you mentioned, the foul rate. But the Bucks are also a team that's really good at getting to the free throw line, thanks to having a Giannis and a Dame on this team, two of the best free throw shooters, not by percentage, but just getting to the line in the league. So when you look at it, you got to try to put the Bucks in a disadvantaged situation where they don't have any option but to foul, or try to make them play a little bit over aggressive with the help defense with Giannis coming in, because you're going to see those 2 7-footers down there when Brook and Giannis are sharing the court. So try to take advantage of the over aggressiveness, try to take advantage of Giannis helping. And if you beat the guards, just try to make something out of that. If not a bucket, then try to get a foul call.
All right, I'm going to give you two matchups, one from the bench unit, one from the starting unit. You tell me the most exciting thing about each one. Number one, it's going to be Jaren Jackson Jr., the Defensive Player of the Year, up against Giannis Antetokounmpo. What excites you about this?
Two young guys who look to get after it. It's funny. I still think Giannis is young in my mind, but like he's not. He's a vet at this point. Jaren Jackson Jr. has the young guy part nailed down, but
He's our
two
vet now
athletic.
too, though.
That's true. Like in my like time is. I think it's the pandemic still. I'm still on the pandemic time. It warped some years out of my life. But no, it's the athleticism. Seeing two big, like skilled guys at that size is something that you just don't tend to see as often. Now, I will be curious to see if that is the matchup the Bucks run with putting Giannis on Jaren Jackson Jr., or if they look to put him on somebody else where he can be more of that floater and let Brook Lopez deal with that matchup. So we'll see how that shakes out. But Jaren Jackson Jr. is a special talent. He is somebody who, I mean, last season with the whole Defensive Player of the Year race, I was definitely advocating for Brook Lopez, but Triple J got that one, and well deserved. So it's going to be fun just seeing how these two athletic 7-footers can get after it.
On the bench, you brought up Bobby Portis, who is a big part of your second unit. It's Gigi Jackson off the bench for us, who had a big night last night with 20 and 9. When we talk about young guys, this is the youngest guy in the NBA going up against Bobby Portis, a true vet. What's fun about that one?
So one thing I love about young players, especially what I've seen so far this season, like when Doc Rivers came in, he mentioned like, hey, what's the identity of this team? Like we want to make sure that teams really do fear the deer, and we got to put that identity back into this team. And I've seen young teams, young guys come up against this Bucks team this season, and they're giving them their all. Like there is no fear from that. And Gigi seems like the kind of guy who also has that in him, where he's not scared of any matchup. He's not scared of who's in front of him. He does not care if you're a championship contender. He is coming out here to try to get buckets. So when you have that type of mindset, that mentality, and the Bucks have run into a few teams this year with guys like that, it's always an interesting dynamic. And you pair that with Bobby Portis, who, as the mayor of Milwaukee, one thing we love about Bobby is his energy. He can get a little chippy. He can look to do the little things to try to annoy somebody. But he's also been having a lot more paint touches or post ups this year. He's somebody who can light it up from three as well. He's going to come out and try to give energy to that unit. So matching that energy up against that young buck energy is going to be really fun to see.
All right, let's get it. Camille, this one is at 7:30, so a little bit later than a normal game because this one's on TNT. So 7:30 tonight, last game before All-Star. Camille, thank you so much for your time today. I hope the game's a good game for us tonight.
No, it's funny how hope it's a really good game for us because the Bucks need that with the coaching change and the record since then. They definitely need to try to get a win going into All-Star break.
Us too. Thank you.